Right, in this video, I want to get something off my chest that I think a lot of people don't seem to understand about the Nintendo Switch 2 and the comparisons that people are making to this system to the Wii U. Now, for those that don't know, the Wii U was one of Nintendo's biggest flops. Outside of the Virtual Boy, which is something Nintendo doesn't even like talking about, the Wii U was their worst selling console of all time. Now, people are comparing the Nintendo Switch 2 to this console largely because the Wii was successful and the Switch is successful, and the follow-up consoles to those systems, or to the Wii, was obviously the Wii U, and it was a failure. Now, here's the problem people aren't seeming to pick up. The Wii U failed largely because of brand fatigue. Not only fatigue, but most people didn't know what the Wii U was. The way the Wii U was marketed was as if it was a console add-on. It was like a tablet controller for the Wii. The Wii U looked insanely similar to the Wii U. So didn't help it either. So people got confused. They thought the Wii U was just this little controller add-on to the Wii, and it was like more expensive than the Wii, and people didn't want to spend that money on the Wii U. And people were going to make a comparison. Oh yeah, but the games. The Wii U arguably had a great library of games, and a lot of those games, if they weren't that great, they wouldn't have been reutilized for the Switch. I'll make an argument here. The Wii U didn't have a terrible library, but the Wii U is a redundant owning now because most of their best games were ported to the Switch. Now, the Switch 2 is backwards compatible. It does what the Switch does. It's just more powerful, got a bigger screen, and that's all it really needs to do, because with the Switch 2, you can't really do much more to evolve it. Now, why people keep making the comparison is quite simple. The Wii U was a flop after the widely successful Wii. However, there's no guarantee the Switch 2 will flop, and obviously if I get that wrong, I'll eat my words. I'll admit, yeah, I was wrong. But the Switch as well is Nintendo's second best-selling system of all time outside of the DS, and the third best-selling console of all time if you could disregard the PS2 and the DS. Right, the Switch is third overall. Now, yes, there is an uphill battle for the Switch 2. It will have to fight a very hard uphill battle, but I don't see this flopping the way many people are framing it to. Yes, it's more expensive than the original Switch, but obviously that's due to hardware requirements, upgraded, obviously, software, not software, but upgraded hardware and infrastructure. And Nintendo will have to obviously accommodate for that price, and obviously the price of actually manufacturing these systems in the price of actually selling the systems. Likewise, Nintendo is going to need to spend more money and resources on developing the games. That's why the game prices have gone up. And it also feels like a lot of people that are like freaking out about this don't seem to understand this happens with every console generation. Every console generation, prices go up on both the hardware and the software. And it's largely because, obviously, the resources needed to develop these systems and the software on these systems goes up. And there's requirements just need to be met. Now, I don't want the Switch 2 to fail. I mean, my channel is basically a Nintendo channel. Most of my content now is about Nintendo stuff. But I also don't think people seem to understand the framework of what they're saying when they make the argument about the Switch 2 being another Wii U. I think the Switch 2 will be successful. I don't think it's going to be as successful as the Switch or the Wii. I think it'll be more moderately successful, like the 3DS was to the DS, where the 3DS sold about 70 plus million units, whilst the DS sold 154 million. I reckon, the Switch 2 will probably sell at least like 70, 80 million consoles, but I don't think it's going to be as successful as the first Switch. But I also don't think it's going to be as big a flop as like the Wii U. I feel like a conservative estimate means it will be like, if it doesn't do as well, it might sell around what the NES sold, around 60 million odd units. I don't think this is going to fail. I think a lot of people need to actually get the system in their hands first, see what Nintendo has to offer for the system, and go off there. Because we've only seen a few games. We've only seen a few games so far, and obviously this generation hasn't even started yet. What Nintendo needs to do in order to get a lot of people to stop making a comparison is flesh out its library a bit more, show us more what we're going to get with the Switch 2 within its first year, and go off that. Because Switch 2 so far, the launch lineup isn't that massive. We know we have like the Zelda Switch 2 editions. For example, we also have Cyberpunk 2077, and obviously Fortnite will all be launch titles, as well as a few other games, including as well as the GameCube NSO app, which I think is going to be brilliant. I can't wait to play some GameCube games on the Switch 2. But I also feel like this could be sort of where they need to shine. People making a comparison to the Wii U Nintendo needs to come out and show, hey, this is not going to be a repeat of history. Because the problem with history is it doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And when you look throughout history, when you have success, you will also have failure. So Nintendo needs to largely just show the world that the Switch 2 is a new system. It's better than what they've done before, and show us the games are going to be worth buying. And that $80 price point that they want you to pay for the digital version and $90 for physical. I think physical, they could kind of lower that to $80. It shouldn't be that expensive. But I feel like Nintendo needs to show us why we should buy these games, what the improvement Switch 2 makes on these games is. And also, just realistically show us why we should upgrade. I don't think, like I said, I don't think this is going to be a Wii U situation. It's very clearly not. The Switch 2 has clearly been shown as its own system. You know, it's shown as an upgrade to the Switch, unlike the Wii U, which was marketed through the controller, and obviously people got confused with what it was. Switch 2, there's no confusion what it is. We all know it is going to be the successor to the Switch. We know it's obviously the next building block in Nintendo's future, and obviously next, you know, their next system and their next plan for the games. But then we need to think, well, we need to know from Nintendo what we can expect from it in the future. And just seeing a few Switch 2 versions of games, and I'll be honest, the games they've revealed so far, I'm not hyped for. I'm quite hyped for. I think a lot of them look quite good. But Nintendo needs to show us that this isn't going to be repeat history, and that they've learned from their mistakes. And like I said, I think the Switch 2 will be relatively successful. I don't think it's going to be a flop like the Wii U. I think it will probably sell not as well as the Switch, but moderately well, enough to where Nintendo can call it a success. Yeah, that's basically my take. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. You know, I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. If anyone wants to help me, please do. I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're quite close now, so I'm hoping we can get it soon. But let me know what you guys think. I've been EC. I'm signing out. Peace.